Hey everybody, it's Brett with the Indie Comics Dispatch and broadcasting from an undisclosed location deep within the Milky Way galaxy. This is Broadcast from the Dispatch. Good evening, Jason.
Hey, sorry. I'm actually watching the intro.
Oh. So you're operating on like a 5-second lag right now. Oh, you there?
What'd you say?
Jason. Are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
Okay, great. Well, for those of us just joining us this evening, my very special guest host is Jason Michael Primrose of Lost Children of Andromeda. How are you doing, sir?
I am doing well today. How are you?
I'm good. So before we jump into our topic for tonight, which I'm really excited about, Black Sands Publishing, little known fact, Black Sands was actually a part of our very first Indie Comic Minute, which was the very first thing we ever did as Indie Comics Dispatch. We shouted out them when they crossed I think it was 100,000 mark of publishing or something like that. And so little old me with like 12 followers at the time shouting out Black Sands Publishing was kind of hilarious. But so tell us about what you got going on.
I'm super excited about 2050Z. Do I have it here with me? Yeah. You know, I keep my baby close by. So I'm super excited about this.
That's amazing.
Hitting the shelves. Yeah, it's available for pre-order on Barnes & Noble. And the ebook is available on Amazon now too. So
that's really cool.
It's been really, really exciting. I mean, it's like having a child. It's certainly big enough to be a baby. But yeah, I feel like I can start to create again, you know, like writing short stories. I'm working on the sequel, all those types of things. So yeah, it's been really fun.
That's really cool. I know you had a massive Kickstarter. When I finished our small Kickstarter for Indie Comics Dispatch, you're right. It just felt like so exhausted at the end. And then now I'm still thinking about fulfillment, and you're on the other end of that. You're starting to actually.
I'm still fulfill. I'm still fulfilled.
Oh, are you?
Yeah. I'm like waiting for everything to like arrive. I have a bunch of shipping stuff crowding my apartment. I have T-shirts, a box of T-shirts over here, and comic books behind me from the partners. So yeah, I'm not doing anything with my house until after July 10th when everything is out.
Well, very cool. Well, I can't wait to see that on store shelves and to see it on my shelf, and it's awesome. Well, I'm so excited that you could be our guest co-host tonight. We had the opening, and so I plugged in when you had said you had listed a review because you recently got the Black Sands books in hard copy, didn't you?
Yes, I did. I have everything here with me. I also pledged the Peta Comics Kickstarter. I don't know if I really knew who they were. Like, I don't know them personally, right. But I've been following them. And I remember when I got it, I had forgotten that I pledged it and was so excited because it's so much content. I was like, this is beautiful.
Issue 3 is huge.
Yeah. So I have all of my goodies here. I have all my goodies here. And then like, look at all this stuff. Like, I was like, oh my God.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really cool.
That's awesome. Well, guys, if you're out there watching, share the stream to your page, share it to groups, share it wherever. Sharing is caring, and we hope that we get some good interaction tonight. Got some questions down in the comment section. If you have questions as we go along, we will try to pop them on the screen and get them answered. So without any further ado, let's jump in. first and foremost, I want to welcome to the stream Manuel Godoy. I see. I did it. I practiced it before the show.
You literally said it before we started.
Manuel is the creator of Black Sands and the comic book series, as well as the massively popular Black Sands publishing app. He's always had a knack for running a team and eventually a business. He has a degree in economics, and he began his production and creativity from an economic perspective. Manuel, welcome, sir.
Hey, what's going on?
Not much. I'm so excited to have you on. Like I was telling Jason, a little over a year ago, we did our very first indie comic minute. It was just literally a minute video where we highlighted different things happening in indie comics. And on the very first episode, I think it's when you guys crossed like that 100,000 issue mark or something like that. And you had posted about it. I was like, I'm including that in this thing I'm doing. And now we have you on the show, and I'm so honored you're here. So excited to talk to you. Amazing things happening at Black Sands Entertainment and Black Sands Publishing. So
thank you, appreciate it.
No problem. Also joining you tonight as kind of wingmen on the ride are two creators who are listed on the app. First, he doesn't look like he has his video on, but I'm going to click him on the stream anyway, and we'll see what happens. Peter from PETA Entertainment. Oh, he beat me. He clicked it on, so I look like a crazy person.
Yeah, I heard you, man.
Peter is a creative illustrator who is passionate about storytelling that led him to establish PETA Entertainment. His work has been mentioned by numerous local and international press, and his titles have won several awards. His focus is creating and developing original African-inspired titles. Peter, welcome back, man.
Yeah, thank you so much, man. I'm happy to be here, man.
So excited to have you here. It's always a blast to talk to you and to catch up.
Yeah, Manuel.
What's up?
Man. Yeah, nice to meet you, Jason.
Nice to meet you, Peter.
Yeah, I love your Kickstarter, though. Yeah, it's a powerful imagery. I loved it.
Thank you.
Yeah.
First of all, should I put on my Instagram live? Should I connect to the Instagram live as well?
No, you can't. Only I can
Okay.
because of the way I have to go there. Unfortunately, Instagram's a beast.
Yeah.
But finally, we have Vonnell Young. He's creator of Delta Dogs and founder of Millennial Comics, a series based around 7 superhero comics. Delta Dogs, if I'm not mistaken, currently has 15 comics released and number 16 coming very soon.
Yes. Hey, what's going on, guys?
Hey, man, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, man. I appreciate the invite to the show, man. I love what you're doing.
Thank you, and well, I'm just so blessed to have every single one of you guys here tonight, so we can talk comics. Brian Lambert, Wingless Comics, that's what's going on, gentlemen. Nice to see everyone here. We have Lethal God Universe watching on Instagram. Ben Krieger saying, "Woo, so excited for this one." This is going to be great. This is going to be great. So
I have a question, Brett. How many people are sitting in gaming chairs? Of the five, how many people are sitting in gaming chairs?
Man. And this is a World of Warcraft gaming chair.
Right.
So I'm 2 levels up. This is like an $800 World of Warcraft waterboard chair.
With the Bluetooth speakers built in and the vibration. Yeah.
I got my chair free from a neighbor. So mine is definitely not a gaming chair. Well, everybody, let's start with Manuel because you're the reason we're here tonight, sir. Tell us more about you and your background. What inspired you to become a creator first and foremost?
Some people know, but my story began by accident. So I went to make video games with the Black Sands series and failed miserably. I spent like $20,000 trying to make a game. I only made like a demo. Demo was pretty legit, right? But I realized I wasn't going to have the budget to finish the project or even come close to it. Not at that time, right? Didn't have the fan base yet or anything. So I pivoted to comic books. I did some research, figured out what was going to work in this current market, right? And made something kind of similar to Naruto, right? And I made a little hybrid baby between Avatar and the Boondocks, right? As far as the style, right? So it was something in the middle of that, right? And we just went with it. We just went with that. Started our first Kickstarter in March of 2017, right? And it was an all or nothing thing with my wife because I've been working. I already burnt $20,000, just burned it to the ground. So she was like, "Yo," and I was like, "Yeah, if I don't get this Kickstarter don't work, I'm done. Don't even worry about it. I'm gonna get a 9 to 5. I'm good to go. I just ain't that creative. I guess that's the way it is, right?" But it obviously did not end there, right? And from there, it just blew up after that. It's always a upward trend. You know what I mean?
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing. So will we see? This is probably a follow-up question for later, but I'm going to pop it in now. Will we ever see that video game come to life now that you do have the fan base?
Oh yeah, definitely. Especially since we are mobile now, right? We're doing the app. We're testing out a gotcha mechanics for a free-to-play app.
Oh, cool.
I'm basically building the business model for any future video games right now with the app and like literally like mastering how to actually make money with apps so that when we make the game, we already know exactly what we need to do to get money out of people, right? Right? So we'll be good to go. And then I'm going to have some characters from everybody else's franchises in there as well. All that kind of cool stuff,
That's cool. That's cool. So, go ahead with somebody saying something, or is that just an echo?
Say the way the app is built, it's already gamified. So
it is.
It has many elements already there,
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love the app. If you're out there watching this and you haven't downloaded the app right now, as long as you're not watching on your phone, download the app and jump into it as soon as this is over. You're going to thank me because it's such a cool app. I was totally surprised. I was expecting like another Comixology type thing, and you guys really blew it out of the water. It's really cool. Peter, tell us a little bit about yourself and how you came to be a creator.
Yeah, well, I've always loved art, drawing, building. I've been in comics since I was a kid, and that's the truth, So, but, growing up, realizing that, this medium that I love so much, video games, comics, animation, there were not enough African-oriented stories. So I decided to, do the research, and since I could draw, start creating mine because I didn't see anyone doing it at the time. So I decided to create. Yeah. So that's how I started making but the first original idea is to make a video game, because video games are the most interactive medium, just like Black Sands,
Yeah.
Playing games like God of War and seeing what they did with Greek mythology, I was like, damn, what if this was, somewhere in Africa and we're fighting Shango and all this. And so all those things are kind of triggered that creative and that need to see your stuff, you represented in these mediums. So, but we had to build the story, and building the story, you have to understand what you're building. So the research must be done. So that's when I started building the stories, and the passion, the drive, the love for art, now came in. So comic books were like the fastest and the easier way to tell these stories. Yeah, it's not cheap. I'll put it out there because a lot of people think it's cheap. No, it's not. You spend millions, thousands of dollars, millions of naira, because I'm from Nigeria, and you spend thousands of dollars building these things. So comics were the easiest way to start showcasing these concepts, these ideas, before we move to the next stage, video games and animation and all that stuff. So
that's really funny. Very similar paths there. That's amazing.
Yeah.
Vonell, tell us how you got to be a comic book creator.
It always goes back to my older brother, which he is actually in the story. He's Curtis, and he, when we was kids, I'm always trying to follow everything he does, and he started drawing comic books. And I think I was around 9 years old, something like that. And when he started doing comic books, I wanted to follow in his footsteps, and I started doing it myself. And I didn't ever stop. So, in one of the first stories, actually that he was doing, he was thinking about doing a story about our cousins, which was supposed to be like a singing band or something like that. And then he was just like, he just left it alone. Like we was both like writing it. And the next thing you know, I was just like, what, I'm gonna take this story, and I'll take the concept of doing cousins and put it into the superhero genre and surround that story around that. So that's why I came up with Delta Dogs, different gangs and stuff like that. just based off of the neighborhoods that we grew up with, the 757 area, because you don't get too many stories about Virginia. So,
Virginia,
New York, like, but so yeah, so we did a Virginia story, and now, man, this story has grown into something else entirely, and it's so depth. And right now, my passion into Delta Dogs is starting to get like it's like being in a small room. Right now, we got to stretch out, so I can't wait to explore other stories and stuff like that. But another one of my passions of the reason why I'm into comics is also the influence I want to have on to the next generation of readers, because we don't have too many just anything new and fresh. You know, everything's always getting rehashed. So to have something fresh and new to bring to the table, starting with Delta Dogs, is something I want to play a big part of.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Jason, feel free whenever you want to just pop in. No pressure either. So Manuel, let's go to you. Let's start back at your beginnings again. You tried a video game, it didn't work. You did your first Kickstarter as a comic. How did you take it from that first comic and grow Black Sands Entertainment from startup to the largest, most popular, I'm just going to say indie comic company by my definition, because I don't consider Image an indie comic company, in the world?
Well, yeah. The reality is it was all business. It had nothing to do with creativity. You know, like I did a lot of research on the market and what works and what doesn't. For instance, I'm not in the comic book industry, right? And a lot of people will never say that stuff. But I'm not in the comic book industry. I'm in the edutainment industry, right? I sell directly to parents, teachers, educators, influencers, and they kids, right? The kids love the content, so they keep bugging their parents. The parents become super fans because their kids actually care about something that's not a freaking video game, right? And it becomes this loop of things. We learn to scale pretty quickly. Once we learn how to sell online, we learned through trial and error too, because at first we had no clue that we would be able to sell online through Facebook and Instagram and stuff like that. We had no clue we could sell physical books like that. So we were buying kiosks, going to conventions, right? Doing the grind, you know, hey, I'm gonna go to the show and I'm gonna hand it to you and you're gonna buy my book. We realized, you know, I could sell 3 or 4 times more books a month by staying home, right? So once we learned that, we started cutting out all the shows over the years, started focusing more on online marketing, messaging, you know, micro targeting our audience, the 1% rule, go for the 1% out of America, right? That's still 2.2 million people. Right, so you know, it's like people think they have to go and beat Disney and include everybody in the universe, and it's like, you know, dominate your niche. And it's just been a phenomenal journey. You know, every year we've tripled our sales. You know, and this year we're projected to do $1.5 million in sales.
Wow.
We're about to do a $3 million investment round for BSP Comics, which we already raised like $350,000 privately. And, you know, not only me, but, you know, I see people who are on the road who are like maybe 2 years behind me, right? As far as like, but they're on the road. They're clearly on the road, right? They have everything that needed to get there. And, you know, that's why PETA over here, Peter, right? PETA Entertainment, they have an exclusive distribution deal with us. And we're currently working with him right now to do his first investment round in his company. So he's going to be raising $100,000 very soon in straight up investment capital. So people actually buy into his company, right? And he's tired of waiting. He wants to be a billionaire quick.
Yeah. I'll add something. You know, like what he was saying. You know, he started straight as a business, and I think that was a mistake a lot of creators do. You know, because we want to create stories and all that. I'll admit, I just wanted to create at the beginning, but later I realized, you know, there's a business behind this, and you have to focus on the business. You know, so if you really want to keep creating, you know, because you get who's good by the time if you don't focus on the business, you get hungry and you can't create anymore. So you have to go to the business. And I'm really Manuel has done a great job building his brand, and you know, on a massive following. And I think we have a lot to learn from his footsteps and all that. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
I think the
Jason.
word I would use is bold. Like Manuel, you're very bold with
Yeah,
everything.
he's,
No matter
he's
what.
hitting the head, right on the head, and that's what a lot of us creators are shy to say, and now he said it, it's getting the right attention, and it's being productive because really, really look at it, we can't really make that impact because the mainstream is very hard to penetrate, very hard. It might take you your entire lifetime, and you can't penetrate it. But now we have to build a different stream,
Yeah, and Peter, if you do penetrate the industry and get in there, right, you might end up being in the exact same spot you were at before you got in because your stuff ain't selling because you're not Black Panther, right?
Yeah, true.
The books end at the comic shop owner, not the customer. Doesn't matter what the customer wants. If the comic book shop owner thinks that they're not going to sell more than 5 copies of this book, they'll only buy 5 copies of your issue. Period.
And that's it.
About it.
Yeah, and you're stuck. Stuck. So I believe the in the future the mainstream is going to decentralize. It's going to decentralize because there's so many people in the world, and we can't be stuck in one place. We need to hear from other people. We need to hear. There are some creators out there, and we need to hear their voices. We can't be stuck in one stream. That if it's not, are we going to watch Terminator all our lives? Are we going to watch RoboCop all our lives? These are all great stories. But we need to, so we need to decentralize the mainstream, right? And I think Manolo is doing a good job with that, and it's bringing and it's giving a lot of opportunities to other creators with the Black Science app, which is right now is like for me is a very powerful movement in the indie community. Yeah, and the app itself is well done, beautifully done, and all that, like as you said, Brett. So, yeah.
So one of the reasons why, too, well, first of all, I want to comment. Wilson Lee from CNS Comics says, if you're going to be in the business of comics, you have to be about the business of comics. You can't shy away from the business end of things. And Black Sands is a beautiful example of taking the business, putting it first, and looking at how well it all goes after that. I think, Peter, you said it, so many creators just want to create. I
like what you said, like what Manuel said just now. It's not comics, it's edutainment. And it's right. Yeah, it's the business of education plus entertainment. It's a business. So by the time we realize that, our footsteps will change. It's not going to be, I just want to draw and create this new character. No. It's a business at the end of the day because it's got to get returns.
Yep.
Right. And if you just want to write books, like, I mean, I know I'm a CEO, not an author. Like, if you want to just write books, if you want to be an author, or you want to be a comic creator, then you got to go work for. You might as well go work for somebody because you still have to do all the same stuff.
Yeah.
Like, there's no difference in the process between how you make a comic book as an independent and how you make a comic book as a traditional entity, except that you have to do all the other things that somebody else will be responsible for inside of a business.
Yeah.
I want to shift for just a minute to representation in comics, because one of the reasons Black Sands is doing well is because it's putting forth out there characters that people have wanted to see and didn't. The mainstream wasn't giving them their characters, their stories, like Peter talks about, stories from Africa, the African myth and legend getting put into stories. It's all been very Eurocentric. So, Manuel, first, when was the first time you saw a character in comics and thought, aha, they finally got it right. This character really represents me?
Okay. I don't know, not comics, but as far as like film, I thought Blade was a black superhero. I said he's a vampire too, but that dude's black, right? It's like anything Wesley Snipes did was enough to get me like hyped, no matter what it was, because he always brought it for the culture. He never got out of cultural character in order to fit a role, even when his hair is white. Right, he's supposed to be some super serial killer. He still was like, I'm a brother first. I don't care what kind of character they put me in. I'm gonna represent for people in the community. You know what I mean? And obviously studios don't have that power. They don't give the people like the bandwidth to do what they want anymore. Right? They have to act the way the script was written. Right? The '90s, people were hired to be them, right? It's like you didn't hire Arnold to be somebody he wasn't. He was Arnold in your movie, you know? And I just think that was a very powerful thing that we lost over time, right? Now everybody's put into a role, right? Like the way Boyega really is, right? The way John Boyega really is nothing compared to the characters that he has to portray in all the movies. He's always someone way different from the person he really is. You know what I'm saying? And you know, that sucks because he's a dope dude. And you don't get a chance to be that dope dude on camera.
Well, for me, I think, okay, you want to ask me the same question?
Yeah, let's go around.
Okay, I think for me, I'll be very honest. The only show I enjoyed that Hollywood ever made was Shaka Zulu. There's nothing else that I think really called, you know, I really felt at home with. And that was like 50 years ago, was it 30 years ago or something like that? You know, I've not really seen any. I know everybody was expecting to say Black Panther, but I don't think Black Panther wasn't really, you know, because it's Wakanda. It's you know, yeah, it's not really home, you know. Although there were similar aesthetics, but there was something just missing. Shaka Zulu for me.
Bonnell, what do you got?
Well, I've seen Blade, I've seen Spawn, but it didn't really click for me until Static. You know, I gotta bring up Burt Hawkins, you know, the TV show that everybody's seen. And when it clicked for me, like him going through those teenage struggles and him going through it with his dad, with his sister, that bickering between him and her, and then also his friend Richie and stuff like that, and then, you know, just going through that, it was just a different set of problems versus Peter Parker. You know what I'm saying? And it just really clicked for me. And when it did, because at the time I was in my mind, of course, you know, I didn't know how to draw like that. All my characters that I was writing was like they were Caucasian, because that's all I used to see when I was a kid. So when Static came on the scene, I was just like, why am I not imagining these characters being, you know, looking exactly like me? So when that happened, my whole mind shifted, and of course, I like to thank Static for doing that.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Jason, you want to pop an answer?
I mean, I had a pretty sheltered childhood, so all I remember is really Storm was like the first Black superhero that I saw that I identified with. I didn't get taken to Comic-Cons, or I collected a lot of the cards, but I really watched that 90s X-Men cartoon, and man, I was just like, Storm reminded me of my mother. So I think that's why I had such an affinity for her. But, you know, later, I think after discovering more of these, really more of the indies actually have more influence on me than some of the mainstream, because I think that, like you, Peter, I felt like Black Panther was missing something. Like, I love Chadwick Boseman and rest in power, and I loved the idea and what it was able to communicate, which is that Black stories centered around fantasy, sci-fi, speculative fiction stories centered around Black heritage, history, culture can blow shit out of the water. Like, there needs to be more. It was a door for, I think, a lot of us to be like, yes, everybody run through the fucking gates, because
okay, sorry to cut. I'll be very honest, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, I guess I missed the question. I thought it was just Hollywood or a superhero character. Yes, for me, superhero character that I think was well represented was Blade. I enjoyed Blade a lot, you know. But the truth is that God's rest his soul, the creator of Black Panther, Stan Lee, he did an amazing job. I felt at the time he must have thought about it, that he hadn't created a Black character, because he was I think he was a selfless human being. That's what I think, and he wanted to represent Black people, because he had a platform whereby he could tell stories. He didn't leave this group of people out of the picture, which I applaud him. God rest his soul, you know, and I think he did a good job by doing that. But the other hand is that I think he was trying to tell the world that if Africa would have been left to be, you know, this will have been the outcome, which is a Wakanda, a country that was never, colonized by the colonizers, right? So that is how I see it. And but for me as an African, I always felt that we can still tell the story from a different angle, from a realistic angle. You understand? That's why Black Panther has never really been unhated. But the movie was amazing, well scripted, well done as a story. But if you say representation, I would still want to see the original story well represented, not a fictional character created by which amazing story, beautiful scripting. The movie was amazing. Everybody, the whole world loved it, the storyline. But for me, when you say representation, I want to see more of original African stories,
And I think most recently I read Children of Blood and Bone. I mean, in the last year, and that was like, I found it to be very interesting in terms of the fantasy retelling of Yoruba culture and heritage. So yeah,
that's really cool. Well, let's Manuel, let's talk about the app. It's out there. It's on Apple. I know because I have an iPhone. Android's out now too.
Is Android still winning, Manuel?
I believe it is, but it's also more mixed as well. Y'all give me 1 stars, you punks.
I'm cool, so 5 stars. 5 stars.
I got more haters on Android, man. It's not my fault that some of these phones don't work and they crash. It's like one freaking model of one specific platform. It's like, and that's hard to police, right? A patch happens and one platform randomly decides it's not going to work for a couple of patches, right? But numerically, Android's ahead, right? Droid. I mean, iOS users they ain't leaving as many reviews, but hey, 600 and 600 is still good. So
yeah, that's amazing. So we've already talked about how great the app is, how really top notch it was, the thought that went into the way it was designed, the way it was gamified, and just everything about it really. You and I were talking before the show about getting all these books edited for an app like this, because these books weren't designed for an app like that. So that's, again, as you marvel at the app, the man hours behind it that went into it is just incredible. So what inspired you to create your own digital comic distribution platform? You were a successful creator, and then you decided, I can take this up a notch. What led to that?
Well, I think it was WEBTOONS when they rejected me back in the day. So I was always talking to them directly, like the senior editors, right? My comic was on their platform. It was doing phenomenal. It got featured a couple times because of the momentum and traction that we were bringing to it, right? And we had a crazy amount of numbers like right off the bat for like the first 3 months, and I was uploading every week and stuff like that. And negotiations never went through. They said, "No, we ain't gonna." He said, "Right now they're not planning on featuring this, right?" And I was like, "Look, I'm not gonna work for you guys for free because this is work. This is work. I'm on your platform, and I'm not getting paid, and I'm bringing you new users that never were on this platform before, right?" And basically what I was telling them was, because of that, I'm going to build my own platform once I realized that it was possible, right?
Hey, buddy.
Yeah,
to see you do some breakdance.
Yeah, it's a pain in the butt. So what I was doing was we decided to make the platform. I already had hundreds of thousands of fans already, right? So I knew I could bring an audience to the app if I ever made it. But I had to have some differentiators, and I had really good contacts for like one of the biggest like app developers out there that made like really high level apps, right? And I was raising capital and I could actually pull it off. So I was like, let's go, right? It's if you can raise capital, that opens up a world of stuff for you, right? But you got to you have to have run your business for years the right way in order to get to the point where you can legally raise capital. You know what I mean? And once we did that, it was to the races at that point. I wanted to make sure my UI was perfect and different. I didn't want it to be just like WEBTOONS, because then what's the point, right? It has to be different. People have really been using those lore cards to get their brands out there, and people love lore cards. Like there's avid collectors out there who always talk about the cars that they get, and it's just been a great experience. We're obviously, this isn't the final version. It's literally V1 of the app, right? But so far we've been killing it. We got like 70,000 users now. So
that's amazing. And how many books do you currently have on the app? Do you know? I'm sure you know. You know this.
I think it's 40 different series right now.
Wow.
Yeah, 40 different series, like 550 chapters or some crazy ass number like that. It's an absurd amount of content.
That's so cool. So you said this is version 1. What can you tease us about what you got coming down the road?
Obviously the investment round's coming very soon. I actually are in final negotiations with an editor-in-chief, a major editor-in-chief. So Black Sands Publishing will have an editor-in-chief soon that's going to basically be running everything on the creative side. So a lot of you guys who are more closely tied to Black Sands, either through a publishing deal, a distribution deal, whatever, will actually have like a freaking 20-year industry veteran, like going through your books and saying what the holes are, or whatever. It's like really high level.
Wow.
We got a whole bunch of other things as well. We're going to be hiring a lot of people, 2-year contracts, all types of stuff. And obviously we're going to build for schools, because I think that's where my biggest amount of money is going to come in from this app, is licensing to schools, libraries and stuff like that, getting these kids to download the app, right? And the school pays like $9.99 per student per semester, right? But only if they install the app. They don't install it, they don't pay anything. So it's a completely risk-free like entry, right? So you can get into everybody as fast as possible. And I think that model right there is going to blow up in and of itself, right? And we just go from there, man. It's a very bold thing. I always tell people this too. When it comes to apps, right? The first thing that a person that's creating an app has to do is make it unique enough that people give a damn. That's be unique, so people actually come. The next thing is they got to find their influencers. Influencers just means content generators, right? So for us, it's not literal influencers online doing dances, but the creators, right? I have to convince dozens and dozens of actual comic book creators to get on the app so that everybody has nice, beautiful red bait to get to download the app, right? Now that we have all this red bait in there, we got all this content, we can start scaling as high as we possibly can. I wouldn't be surprised if by February of next year, we have 1 million users on the app.
Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised at all. As far as our initiatives, we'll obviously have like group Kickstarters for the entire freaking just we'll have like seasons, like summer BSP, whatever, right? And you get all these like crazy things, and the creators get funding, right? Because it's kind of annoying that everybody's out there trying to do a Kickstarter for themselves. Just give me a budget, double it, here you go, right? There you go. Just do it all in one big super conglomerate like movement Kickstarter where it's so easy, right? Because at that point everybody's like, yo, I don't even know half of these brands, but this is a dope move. I'm just gonna throw 100 in. Right? They don't even know what they're like, I'm just throwing 100. I don't even know what this is about, but there's a lot of dope comments. And we do a lot of crazy things right now, and there's so much opportunity. And being profitable is the least of anyone's worries. Most of the companies out there that end up getting bought out, 300, 500, $1 billion, they ain't even profitable for like 5 years. Like it's just the fact that they have an audience.
Yep.
And sometimes it's a very niche audience. For us, a 2 million people audience is equivalent to 20 million on WEBTOONS, because they have no niche. It's just blanket carpet bomb the entire thing, right? Whereas we have super fans that any brand on the app 2 years from now can easily make hundreds of thousands of dollars per comic because of all the merchandising and what's it called and all the other things, because these are super fans. They want the stuff. They want whatever the stuff is. Whether it's a show or toys or games, we just want the stuff, whereas nobody cares. Like, it's a lot of crossover here. On WEBTOONS, no crossover. You are by yourself. You put your comic on there, and you have to bring all the fans. You're not getting anything from them, and that's the reality of WEBTOONS, right? It's a right? Not us. We're a brand. We're distribution now, and we distribute directly to consumers.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So Peter and Vonell, what you're out there, you're creators, you hear about Black Sands. I mean, everybody knows about Black Sands, and then they're launching the app. Let's start with Vonell first. What drew you to putting your books digitally on the app? Because Vonell, I first read your books on Comixology. A lot of creators try to go there, and I've just heard horror stories about never getting any good analytics, no money really from Comixology. So what made you take a chance on this new digital platform?
Kadoy hit me up saying that he already apparently he knew exactly everything I was going through prior before he even hit me up as far as what Comixology was, how they were basically treating my brand of Delta Dog. So I'll post up there and consistently a month, put a new comic book up there, and I'll only get like a few downloads. They wasn't really promoting me. Every time they was kind of promoting me, I would see the ad, and only I would see the ad for Delta Dogs on Facebook and Instagram. I'm just like, man, I know about my book, so why am I getting the ads? I'm getting like 10, maybe 15 downloads, and off of those 10, 15 downloads, I'm only getting like maybe $1 off of each one of them. So he came to me saying that, hey, look, you're not, I can make you a deal where basically you'll get a lot more than $1, and also I'll promote you and stuff like that. All I heard was promotion, because that's the thing that's really hurting my brand now, because nobody knows about us. We're 15 books out, and again, nobody still knows about it. Every time they finally find it, they're like, okay, why haven't I heard about y'all? I'm just like, okay, my bad. But anyway, so as soon as he said he'll promote me, and he's focusing on people like me, I was just like, first of all, I love what you're doing. So yes. Second of all, you're going to promote me. I really appreciate that, and that's exactly what I need. Third, you're also going to pay me up front, which that's very admirable, because again, WEBTOONS, like he said, Comixology, they really don't care about the creators at all. We have to work 4 or 5 years like crazy, and Comixology, they're all about Marvel and DC, and I don't want to get started with WEBTOONS, but they're doing everybody dirty. And Emmanuel, like, he's the only person, he's the only dude that's really caring about us and actually trying to build us up. So again, this was a no-brainer for comic book creators like myself. And it's an honor to be on the app. It was an honor to be approached by this man. And right now we're getting nothing but feedback. As soon as I got on the app, it was a game changer for my company, for Millennial Comics and the series Delta Dogs. So again, of course, before I end this, appreciate you, man, for everything. But that's what I got to say on that.
That's awesome. Peter?
Yeah. First of all, the vision.
Can I interrupt real quick?
Of course.
Peter, you've talked to a lot of people who decided not to do business with me because of my attitude, right?
That was going to be a question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, but Peter has great conversations. He's not going to tell you about who he's talked to.
No, yeah.
He was the outlier of those people. Like it was like maybe y'all not thinking of it the way you should. So I know you had some great stories that you told me about these conversations that you've had, and I think now would be a good time to explain like the mentality of how you approached how I was doing business versus how other people who were in your shoes said, I can't do it, right? I can't trust that guy, or he's not right.
Yeah, I think me personally, I know. Okay, let me just say this: business is not easy, because people there's this natural notion of people think that business must be about cheating. It's wrong, and it's for me, it's totally wrong. And I've had a lot of bad experiences. A lot of people don't know, we're pushing the brand, but we go through a lot of shit, on the back end of the whole business. We don't say much, we just move on. But I think when Black Sands Manuel approached me, he was a very straightforward, and very straightforward and very open. Yes. No, there was right now. I'm so relaxed working with him because he has shown he's the kind of person that is very straightforward and very honest to work with. That's just what I would say. You know, I've met a lot of people that come all, you know, they come all nice, but man, they have like their how do I put it, their tall hammer by the side, ready to cut you off. You know, I've had a lot of, you know, bad business, you know, with people. You know, I had one recently. You know, people that you think you can trust. So that's the general notion of business. People think, you know, you have to be a culture. But I think working with Manuel has, you know, he understood the problem, and one of the with the industry and what we needed to do to go to the next stage, especially when it comes to getting the indie, you know, especially the Black creators, you know, more voices. So he had already built a network already, and he's giving it out freely. You know, there's no that's what I see. I see it freely because there's no strings attached, no you know, trying to cut you down. It's strictly, you know, straightforward business. And for me, on the other hand, the vision he had when he spoke to me, and the vision he had, I keyed into it immediately. You know, because, you know, they have to be this way. You know, I've never been the person that, you know, like, if it's not mainstream, it's not enough. Because the truth is that they sold Disney. They're not going to call everybody. So are we going to stop because they don't call us? No. We have to create something. We can't be waiting to be spoon-fed, you know? So we can't wait to be, you know, to be spoon-fed because, you know, these are the guys that hold the keys to you know, to the better life. No, we have to create that life. And that's one of the things I learned from Black Sands. We have to create it. We have to build it. And to build it. And he, like I said, he hits it on the head, and he brings what I say, hitting it on the head. He talks about the problem, and that is why people are listening. So, and but we might say, oh, he's speaking against Hollywood. But I don't think so. I think he's actually hitting him on the head because we're all affected by these things as children. So I think Manuel is a very straightforward business person. You know, he doesn't, like a lot of people who come with tricks, you know, in the agreements. You know, they don't want. Well, he's been very, very direct, and he allows you to express your what you don't like in an agreement. So I will say this, you know, for everybody to hear. So I've met a lot of people who have cheated me, you know, over time, and you know, and I can say there's a major difference working with him and a lot of people. So the business we've had have been very smooth, very clean, no issues. You know, everybody respects everybody. You know, and that's the beauty, and that's what I've always been looking for. Yeah. So
you don't gotta chase me down for money. Right? When people make new content, they just invoice me and I pay them. You know, it's like it's not that complicated. You know, it's not
complicated. Just do what you say you're gonna do. You know, and we all be happy. We don't need to quarrel. So I think that's for me. I think the whole Black Sense agenda is actually very open, very direct. There's no, you know, no people. I'm sure people are like, okay, what is the agenda behind it? I think the agenda is pretty clear. Trying to create a network for indie Black creators
where everybody makes money, right?
Yeah,
I mean, like
very easy. It's like I have an audience that wants content, and you have content. Like it's really not.
Yeah, there's nothing complicated. You know, there's nothing. It's really. I won't lie. Working with Black Sands has been the most easiest business I've done with anyone in this since I've been doing business. You know, since I started. You know, trying to learn a form of trade. Everybody's always trying to cut everybody off. You know, trying to cheat. You know, that's what people think is right. I don't believe so. You know. And,
Peter's number one person who picks my brain the most. I've had so many 1 hour long conversations randomly with Peter. He's like, I got this idea. I'm like, okay, let's go with it. He's definitely, you know, but at the same time, out of all the creators right now who are on our app, as far as people who are positioned to get to where I am today, like he is probably at the top of that. Because he has like freaking like 8 different titles, multiple different teams that he recruited for and are permanently working at all times. And you're like, he's doing a lot of this with no money. Like he does Kickstarters and stuff, but really it's like it's so much heavy level of like of management over so many different teams and keeping the quality up. And I'm like, this is really good management. Like, I don't care about the comics. This is really good management. This guy can scale this, right? You can scale this because nobody can scale. They can make one good book, but they can't scale. Like, I'm gonna make a publishing house. You know, and
it's not easy. It's just sheer determination, my man. Because I want to tell the stories, you know, and you know, it's just my passion. And we don't live forever, so I decided, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do it, you know. So yeah, it takes a lot.
I was going to mention the people who say they don't want to work with you, Manuel, because I'm friends with a lot of creators, a lot of Black creators, and there's this group that includes Von Nell and Peter and Brian from Wingless and a couple others that are like, man, like Manuel knows what he's talking about, and this is the best business decision I have made. And then there's others who just won't hear you out because it's I don't know. I guess making money isn't pure indie. I don't get it. But
I think it'll be best if I explain the deal because there is a time limit. There is a time limit. When I hit 100 titles, I'm done because I got to actually push people to the titles. Right? It's like there's a point where the catalog gets too big. Right? It's like there's no point. Because they all still making chapters, they're all still making new issues, and it just gets astronomical to the point where that 100 will have thousands of episodes, right? And who the hell's going to be able to unlock all that? You know what I mean? So the idea is you eventually have to stop and curate the hell out of your group and get the best content on there, right? So we will be eventually running out of space on the app, and one thing that our deals are, which is very very standard for everyone, is $10 US per page initially. So if you have 5 issues at 20 pages each, right, then you get $1,000 from us right off the bat, right? Because you have 100 pages of content, right? That's per year, and then the second year is 50% increase, right? The second year is going to be more valuable than the first. This doesn't include the fact that if you make more comics, we pay you by the margin every 10 pages, right? So once you get that next issue out, you say, hey, 24 more pages, pay me. Like, I got you. We pay for all the editing, and you don't have to worry about none of the editing at all as a featured comic. We help you with the Kickstarters directly with our network, right? We also have exit clauses that are in your benefit. So you can leave if you pay me back. That's it. You want to leave? Pay me back the money that's whatever's left over on the contract, right? Because that's fair. That's fair. Additionally, if for whatever reason Dark Horse says you're amazing and wants to sign you now and take all your rights, including digital, right? Dark Horse pays me a small fee to cover my cost and maybe a little premium, and I'm out, right? Pay me to leave. That's fine. You know, I have no problem with you guys doing that, but I have like a right to first refusal. Like, if I think you're so vital to me, I'll match the offer, right? But for the most part, I probably just let people go if they got a deal, right? Because if the people really want them that bad, you know, do whatever they want, right? So there's many ways. It's like you're here for 2 years, man, before you have to renegotiate, right? You have all the rights to everything else you make money on, which 90% of the creators out there make $0 on digital. It's all physical sales, going to shows, selling books directly to people. It's not their digital sales, right? He said, so I'm already outbidding Comixology, WEBTOONS, all of them combined. Yeah. Day one, right? And then you might actually get ad revenue share later on once we actually turn to the green finally on the app. You know what I mean? It's like there's so much extra, there's so many like for me, I gave you an amazing insurance policy. I gave you money up front that was clearly way better than what you're already projecting for your sales that year. Like I already outbid your sales that year for your digital, right? And on top of that, you also have upside as well. Like, it's just like, to me, it's absurd. It's an absurd thing to do that if you don't make any money on digital, because you're already doing nothing with that content. It's there, you just ain't using it. You know what I mean? And that's how I always approach every negotiation too. Was, hey, if you're doing amazing with digital, maybe Patreon or something like that, show me receipts, so I can give you a better offer, right? Right? It's like just show me some receipts. Say, hey. Right?
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm totally outside of that world. So it's. I mean, I have Zosma on the website, which is amazing. I mean,
Yeah,
Manuel hit me up and he ordered more than Amazon ever would. And
yeah, we're
so,
selling his book. We're selling Between Magic and Dreams, and
Yeah.
right now we're taking a little break on like ad revenues, ad spend. But once our ads get running back up, you know, we're gonna be selling like hundreds of his books every month, right?
That's
because
awesome.
that's how we sell a lot of books. So we're just reorganizing our ad campaigns right now because I don't like spending money foolishly. So I felt like my ads weren't killing it, right? And I was like, rebuild them, right?
4x ROAS at all times, right? Is it 4x?
Yeah.
Is that what you go for?
It's 3x now because it's so much. It's so many books, right? It's 4x was lower, but
let me comment. And I think one great thing about the Black Science app is that it has different, you know, people's stories and ideas on it. It's not like a particular company. You know, we have so many studios and companies right now that are creating, so to say, African or Black content, right? And it kind of like, you know, everybody's like separated, you know, which everybody has a right to, you know. But Black Science kind of like, you know, brings everything together and allows people looking for the stories, you know, to have access to different stories. And I think that there's power in that, just like Netflix.
Yeah, brand matters.
Stories, yes, like Netflix, right? Different ideas, you know. And I had this argument before. I don't know. Let me not cut up, you know, with someone. He said, "Oh, Disney is making their own app. They're going to destroy Netflix." I said, that is not possible because Netflix is working with different creators all over the world. You can't beat that. If you like, even though you are the giants, the biggest production company in the world, and you have a particular kind of content, you can't beat Netflix because Netflix has different. So, and that's the same model with Black Science. It's different creators, different ideas, and that's the beauty of diversity. You know, you can't have one app for a company and think, oh, it's just yourself. You want to sell yourself. You know, you can never, you know, make that, you know, idea of having numerous and variety. And that's the beauty of Black Science.
And no competition too. I mean, think about it. We specifically went for stories that 100% we have no competition on, right? Like it's like we avoided the things that are most common. We don't have no superhero story. Nobody in tights talking about I'm gonna save the day, right? We don't got no civil rights stories, no slavery stories, none of that stuff. We go for the stuff that nobody's been doing, so that we can literally just build a giant, beautiful wall, MAGA style, right? And to say everybody has to go through this nice, beautiful gate to get into the comic space that we created, right? It's like, oh, you're making a history stuff. Oh, you better be on Black Sands. That's where all the fans of Black history before slavery is at. And it's like, that's the reality of it. It's going to be annoying. Eventually, people are going to be annoyed by it, and it's part of the business model. It's like if you're going to be the gatekeeper, eventually there will be fallout. Yeah. Some people will catch the hammer, right? Because they can't avoid it. It's going to be every time someone makes anything cool about historical character, they're going to be like, yo, you should get that on the BSP Comics app, man. Yo, why don't you tag Black Sands in this? Let them know. And they're going to be like, damn, I just want to do this myself, right? But it's the idea is like, this was the business model. It was the plan. And even though it sucks, right? I'm not telling them to do that. They're just doing it. You know, it's like I didn't say, hey, make sure to bug everybody who has a comic book, right? But it's like I don't do that. But they already read the comic books on BSP Comics. So it's weird to not have your comics on the platform that they're reading from already. You know, like
audience is there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, speaking of the platform, let's talk a minute, Manuel. I want to get your answer first. Other than these guys here, what are some of your favorite stories that are currently on the app?
Okay. So besides them, I would say Muntu Warriors, probably one of my favorite. It's just so stylish. It's weird. It's so weird. Obviously Flame, just because I love the creator, man. King Lion. This guy is a TikTok phenomenon. All right. So this guy's killing TikTok. He's like half 500,000 followers now, and he's been in there for like 3 months. You know. This dude has a lot of energy, and his comics are beautiful because his wife is an amazing artist. And it feels, for me, it's like the Black Twilight, You know, it's the Black Twilight, right? It's just cool enough where men like it, but it's like incredibly nice for women, right? So it's like a really beautiful comic, right? so you got that right there. We also have a couple of other comics in there that I really like. I like Macchiato a lot because their work ethic is phenomenal, and they put so much freaking content out there. And anybody who just likes the story at all will be super fanboys by the time they get anywhere near the end, because it might never end. It's so much content already generated in that series, like 80, 90 issues or something like that. So, you know, people are going to be going through that for a long time, and it's doing numbers. It's doing a lot of numbers, you know. Let's see what else. One that hasn't been getting a lot of love on there, and I'm kind of really irritated about it, is Prince of Arcadia. Prince of Arcadia is really good. And for some reason, it's not getting the numbers I wanted to. I don't know what the heck is going on, because very, very high quality, right? And it's just the way apps are, right? Sometimes, for whatever reason, it don't resonate with the whole with the general audience. But trends happen. I see on the forums lead conversations when people go and talk about certain series. All of a sudden, that series gets a bump. Just the other day, I saw multiple videos on TikTok from some of my influencers. I tell them when they're working with me, whatever book you like, do a review on that and push people to the app. I don't care if it's mine, because all I care about is downloads, right? So I saw two videos from two different dudes, one with 500,000, one with 1.5 million. Both do videos on Delta dogs.
Oh wow!
Talking about the idea of what's called, talking about the idea of the cousin and the culture involved in the superhero story, and how
Miles
Morales missed the mark because the culture wasn't there in the comics, right? And he said, and Snoop Dogg is a villain, which is ridiculous, right? And people just like that. They're like, it sounds interesting. I want to read this, right? And I don't care how it works so long as it gets downloads, right? And this is big money that's going out into people's hands, but because of the freedom of them being able to choose what they pick, what they like, some of these things will be interesting. Monarchs has been great. Freaking Straw Hat Goofy loves Monarchs. He freaking loves Monarchs. He goes to bat for Monarchs every 5 seconds, talking about an animation for them and everything else one day. And so you never know where the momentum's going to go. You know what I mean? It just does, right? And I'm not a greedy person. Remember, these guys are paid by me to promote the app. And they talk about somebody else's comic, and I'm like, what the hell ever? I don't care, right? It's like authenticness is what I care about more than anything,
That's awesome. What about you, gentlemen? What stories have you read on the app that really resonated with you that, again, weren't your own, and that you were surprised by seeing there?
Other than the ones, of course, he already listed, which is like every single one of them. His wife is doing an amazing job. What's the series called? I don't want to mispronounce the name. The series that your wife is doing.
Oh, Eniola?
Yeah, thank you. I told my wife that was her name, so I got it right. So yeah, so her story is so dope because I don't really see too many, of course, Black women that's actually feels like they're nice with it, and it's not like catering. Like she's not getting catered, like she's training. You know what I'm saying? And then she's whooping people's tail, and it's like, yo, like I messed with this lady. So then, of course, it went through her whole background story of this lady and her friend. And the next thing you know, like this lady basically got her friend basically got bullied, and when she walked up in the bathroom, and we already know that this lady's nice. So as soon as he walked up in the bathroom, I'm just like, yo, run. I'm like, yo, run. I'm like, the emotions is there. So I really love that particular series. Of course, again, other than the ones you listed, that's like my favorite one. Like mostly everything that's on the app for right now. Of course, I gotta get everything else but that's
It's an absurd amount of content. It's an absurd amount of content, you know.
Yeah.
And I need to get all you creators infinite currency. So I got to make a code for you guys to get infinite currency. That way, I don't need to do all the missions.
Right. Now, but yeah.
Peter, what about you, man?
Yeah, I'm very honest. I've not sat down to read the comics, you know, but I love every single title there. Why? Because they're all fresh ideas, and I've actually looked at them, you know, by pages, you know. But the one I really followed was Inca, you know. Because it called me. Why did it call? It called me because it was different. It's based off of what was it? The Mayan, right? Is it Mayan? Aztec, right?
No, Inca.
Inca. Oh, Inca, yeah. But it's similar. They have similar.
Yeah. Definitely.
South America. Am I right? South America, right? Somewhere.
Yeah, South America.
Yeah. So I just focused and read it for a little bit, you know, because I'm very busy, you know. But I love when I've gone to the pages of each creator's book, and it's amazing. I could tell, you know, because I have this natural gift to read images, you know, and I see that this are all amazing. But I've not really sat down to read them like judicially, you know. But they're all amazing stuff. All amazing.
You got like 8 books to do. Man. I understand.
Yeah.
Right. I was gonna say Peter's pretty busy managing.
Yeah, I got life.
I won't lie. I'm very.
It's really hard. No, honestly, it is really a challenge to consume content, but you like while you're creating, or while you're project managing the creation of like, you know, multiple streams of content. I personally I like physical things. I grew up reading books, so I like to I like to have things in my hands. Which is why I get so excited when you guys' books come and I do unboxings because I'm like, ooh, Black Sands is here. Ooh, you know, Hukayoma's here. I was like, I get excited.
But there's a particular title I'm actually I'm waiting to see. The Mask of the Orishas by Macchiato. Yeah, that looks very promising. You know, I
Black Sands.
The name, the aura is getting to me. You know, I would really like to see that.
It's by Black Sands Entertainment.
Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was Macchiato. My bad. You know, because I don't really pay. I won't lie. I don't really pay attention to it.
We got so many publishing deals on the table now. Like we're not just like doing the licensing stuff. We got some straight up traditional publishing deals that are all over the place, you know. And all these series are going very well. We're almost done with the first issue of Carthage and the first issue of Madagascar. You know, and these are like really big, like, you know, this is my niche, right? It's one thing about Black Sands, whenever we're publishing something, it all fits the exact same, you know, market demographic story type thing, you know? So history before slavery, huge for us, right? And those type of vibes. If we ain't got those vibes, we ain't publishing it, you know what I mean? So we got a lot of them right now.
That's really cool. One title that I was really excited, I think just recently got added maybe this week, was Enigma by Ka Studios.
Yeah.
I loved that story, where it's going so far. It's an amazing story. So
yeah, he's gone pretty far into it too, about 4 issues. So that's like,
yeah.
I think that's maybe, let me see here. It's like 90 pages though. Yeah. It's probably like close to like 15 episodes or something before that one will be caught up.
That's awesome. So, Manuel, what advice would you give to someone who is wanting to create their first project? What kind of things would you look for in a project that you would want to feature or distribute through Black Sands?
Well, 100% it's quality. So, you know, I always tell people, look at the indies in the Black Sands app, right? Most people are indie because they just aren't ready for a feature, right? Some people are amazing and just have an establishment already on the platform, so they won't do an exclusive, right? They got an offer, but they were like, just stay non-exclusive and try you guys out as well, right? So there's plenty of those, but you can tell the people that weren't ready for a feature yet. Look at theirs, look at their quality, right? And say, at least I need to get to at least that level. Don't think you can be under anything on the app already. because we curate, and we can't have amateur work on there at all. As far as story goes, that I'm not too concerned about story. I'm concerned about adult content. I don't want that, right? So I look for huge red flags. I ask about it all the time, right? There's certain things that I don't want on the app at all because I want it to be licensed to schools eventually. But as far as story, the crowd will decide that. I can't say what's a good story and what's not. I don't know. The crowd's gonna decide what's good and what's not, right? I had no clue that certain titles would just take off the way they did. They just did, and and that was the luck of the draw. So the way I see it is, you said your story doesn't really matter too much to me. There's certain things I absolutely do not stand. I don't want any civil rights. I don't want any slave stories. I don't want any stuff that I would normally see on WEBTOONs, watered down romance. I want the nice, cool, new stuff like Kaleidoscope, right? Or Legend of Althea. Like, I like those. I want to see a lot of slice of life, right? But I don't want it to be like, the stuff I see on WEBTOONs too much. Mm-hmm. And also no superhero stories. I don't want to see people in blue tights or red jean. I have my magic hand or something. Like, to me, it's like I'm never gonna compete with Marvel for that space. I don't want to, right? Mm-hmm. And maybe my place won't be the best home for that kind of content. You know what I mean?
Very cool. Very cool.
I almost got the boot.
I was gonna say, Delta's
close.
Hey, Snoop Dogg's the villain. I was good to go. I said, look, this dude is a regular dude. Like it's a different vibe. It's a street story. It's a street story where people happen to have powers, right?
Yeah. So Vonell and Peter, then, what piece of advice would you give to first-time creators? Somebody out there sitting, maybe it's more of a business tip even. That indie creator who's sitting out there, maybe made their first comic book and doesn't know what to do with it next.
Well, it goes both ways, in different ways. Like, why are you making comics? Are you making comics because of the fun of making comic, which is everyone has the right to do so? And do you want to expand on what you've done? So those are the questions you have to ask yourself. What do you want to do with what you've made, or what you want to do? Like, so I will not use myself as an example. I want to create brands that showcase people like me, and also because there's a need for that. Mm-hmm. So, but but when you start that journey, you have to start thinking about business. You have to think it as a business so you can manage it. Then you start bringing other elements into it, like management, expenses, profit, upgrading, upscaling. Just like every other career of life entails. So these are the things, the questions you ask yourself. What do you want to do with your creative? Right? Like me, sometimes I just sit down and I draw characters. That's my personal fun. But now I don't even draw anymore because I'm so busy trying to the business side of things. Yeah. So, and that's the truth. So the first thing I'll ask you is the question: what do you want to do? Do you want to turn it into an animation? Okay, animation is so expensive, so you have to walk to the steps to get to this place. I think might work. Or you want to, so I think those are the most important questions. What do you want to do with it? If you want to put it, you want to see this on the big screen. You want to get it on people's hands. Then you start thinking about business. Yeah. So I think those are the two things I will tell any creator. What you want to do with it, and the path you want to go. So I'll just say, okay, this is what I've done. This is where I'm going. This is what I want to do with my stuff. So if you want to do it like this, yeah, I think this is what you should follow. Yeah. What we're all still learning. We try to balance everything, right? The business and the storytelling, because we still have to tell good stories. So first of all, you make sure your story is good, and it's viable for people to enjoy. Then what you want to do with it. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm asking the creator.
That's great, Peter. Vanel, what do you got?
So I wouldn't, as a creator, just starting off, of course, you gotta just go. You know, you can't be afraid to just finally just jump in the water. But prepare as much as you can. The more you're prepared, the less time and money you're gonna be spending on failure. So, as far as like, even when it comes to the writing, right? People typically only plan like 1 or 2 issues, and then they'll just bring out their first book, and then it's like, okay, I'm gonna see how it goes. Plan out beginning, middle, and end vaguely, where you can maybe go in there, make some changes as you grow, as you're putting down books. But make sure that you have that core grounded story, you know, flat out. So you wouldn't be worrying about, okay, this is the plot hole here, or people calling you out on the internet that's just gonna break your spirit. You don't want to put yourself in that position. So as far as writing and stuff goes, you know, plan everything out. As far as business and stuff goes, surround yourself around people like Manuel or Peter, and of course, like even you, Brett, like people like that, other creators, other people that actually in this space. Make sure you surround yourself around all these people before you even come out with your first book, before you even pay anybody. You know, because I know Kadoy, I know he came out with a video, and I watched those videos a couple of times on a YouTube channel, teaching creators. And one thing that he did say was like, good Lord. So he was like, basically don't go on the deep end of like paying like $100 per page to an editor. Well, you don't really need that. You know, you can just tell it to a friend or ask somebody to, you know, do the minimum to help you get by, right? You don't want to pay like maybe $1,000 per page on an artist, because then once you finish out the first book, you can't get to the second book, you know. And also plan out as far as printing, put everything in your costs. Be prepared as much as you can before you even get started on paying anybody.
Well, you know, but the truth is that, sorry to cut, you can never be prepared. you know how crazy it is when you start up, right? You know, yeah.
Unless you take the Black Sands, you know, 90-day challenge, where it has homework assignments.
You know,
so, and where can they get that, Manuel? Where can they get the?
My YouTube channel. You know, it's a playlist. It's a playlist, and you know, it's very important. You know your numbers. Mm-hmm. Very important. This stuff will bite you in the ass at the end, and you never realize that you can't even print the book you made.
Yeah.
You're like, oh man. You know, it's like you got to be prepared for all this stuff. You have to market it way before the book's over. You know, and you got to know who you're selling to.
Yep.
You got to know that before you even begin writing your first damn word on the paper. You got to know who's gonna buy this. And I don't mean who isn't like, oh, black people will. That's not telling you. You know, like, you gotta be a little more specific than that, you know. And by doing that, you'll be able to, you know, make your story. Also, what Vano was saying about writing your story out, you need to have the beginning, middle, and end of the whole season, right? Of the main character.
Yeah.
Not all the characters.
Yes. That's my favorite video by you. My favorite video. He's like, people spend years on all these characters and never finish a book. And I was just like, yeah,
like
if it's not done in 90 days, something went terribly wrong, right? Unless you're writing a book like him, because he does like 500-page freaking encyclopedias of books, right? But if you're doing like,
epic sci-fi novels,
for me, right, 40,000 words is as long as I'm gonna go if I'm writing a novel, which I have done before, and 40,000 damn near killed me. So you know, I say 90 days for any project, 90 days. You know, and some of these creators, I know this woman on TikTok. You know, I didn't carry her book because it's more like adult fantasy, but she's an amazing creator. She has like fucking 14 books, novels, big ass novels, and she did them in like 10 years. And I'm like, these are big, giant novels, and she knocks them out all the time. And it's like,
Wow.
she understands. She got to finish it. She just got to finish it. It's not about perfection or all the different things in the world. You know, The Hobbit was about the fucking Hobbit. That was it. That's the story. All this other shit came out afterwards. He was like, you know what? It'd be cool if we expanded on the elves and made a whole language for them. You think he wasn't going to write the first book before he wrote the language of the elves? Like, you know what? If we don't understand this real language of elves, this whole story will fall apart. You know?
I love that.
I also feel like a lot of people built his lore after, you know what I mean? Because I see but fans will string the backstories together based on what they read in the text. So it wasn't even like him spending all his time building the world.
Everybody should take some advice from Lovecraft. Just write a fucking story and let the fans build your universe. All right.
I love it.
I don't care about Lovecraft specific life or whatever. Ancient people do ancient stupid stuff, but when it comes down to how his fan base worked, people made entire worlds based off of his base story, and nobody cared about his stuff till 100 years later. They're like, actually, this shit is pretty dope, right? He said, but the whole point was because the fans cared so much, his universe that was created was way bigger than he ever even intended it to be. You know what I'm saying? And that's what's going to happen with every creator. The Naruto-verse blows up out of proportion. Vegeta somehow becomes the main character as opposed to a one-arc character, right? Because like the fans, what the hell is that? That guy's cool. You're like, yeah, but I won't like this motherfucker, right? It's like the writer himself, like, I don't like Vegeta. I want him dead. He said, well, you gotta resurrect him then. They said, wait a minute now. It's like, but you don't know what's gonna happen in the future. You don't know. You don't know what your fans are gonna demand. So just write the main story because that's the only story that's really gonna not change. Is the main character's arc.
That's great advice. Great advice. I know we probably all know creators who are too busy planning out their 40 sub arcs and 40 different characters and not concentrating on that main story. I know I do.
Of the franchise and the population of the empire that shows up in book 7.
Right. Yeah. Precisely.
We gotta have that now. You know, like, you might not make it to book 7, bruh.
You never get book 1 written. Jason, as we start to wrap up here, do you have any other thoughts, any other questions you want to ask anybody?
No, because they're so funny. No, I mean, look, I guess my only advice would be respect the process. No matter what channel you choose to go, there's always going to be work to be done. So just be prepared, like Vanel said, be prepared, but be prepared to do the work because you're going to have to, or it's not going to go.
Gentlemen, Vanel and Peter, tell everybody where they can follow you, where they can find your work and support you. Vanel, why don't you go first?
Yep. So we're getting on Patreon. So type in Delta Dogs on Patreon. You can find us there. Also Facebook, Millennial Comics, and Instagram, Millennial_Comics93. And of course, the one and only Black Sands app. You can get issues 1 through 5. We just came out with issue 5 today on Black Sands, and issue 6 is right around the corner.
Nice. Peter?
Yeah, I think the fastest way to check us out is through Instagram at Peter Comics. And through the link in the bio, you can access everything. You can access the comic books. You can also check out, access Black Sands app right there from all the links. Merchandise, everything, right in the link in the bio at Peter Comics.
That's awesome. Manuel, what's next for Black Sands?
But first of all, everybody here needs to save their money, all right? If you're not buying stock in my company this next round, after all the stuff we've done, right? I don't know what you're gonna tell your grandkids one day.
Who's not? Who hasn't invested?
They'll be like, how did you see this and not do something? All right, so we are going to be the next Tyler Perry Studios out there, the big indie black success. But this time we're going to have a lot of investors, not just black investors, but lots of Hispanic and white investors too are going to be in there hard, like they already have been. And it's a movement, man. It's a real cultural movement that we're doing. Buy your stock, right? Get ready for this investment round. It's happening in the next 2 to 3 weeks. It's going to open up. Also, make sure to have some money for the side for Peter over here, because his investment round is probably going to be opening up like almost the exact same time, right? He's only raising 100,000, so we should get him that real quick. You know what I'm saying? And it's ownership. It's not. This isn't a book. You're not buying a book from us. You're buying real ownership that appreciates over time. So you can invest in some stupid coin if you like, right? And play the coin lottery, right? But people who really want to make a difference, they're going to be investing in companies that have a good resume, right? It's all about numbers. It's not about clout or none of that. I'm rebuilding Black Wall Street. None of that crap, right? We make dope content and we just people and they want it. That's what we do. We're better than everybody else at doing it. So invest. That's it. So,
and for those who don't know, how can people invest?
Well, it's going to be on WeFunder.com. The best way is just to follow me and be prepared, because it's going to go like crazy. Second we open it up, it's going to be absolute annihilation. I wouldn't be surprised if we hit 1 million in the first week. Because we're already at 350,000 off of just pre-registrations, and we haven't opened it up to anyone yet, besides patrons and previous investors. So
that's amazing.
It's gonna be quick.
My mom tried to invest the last round and got kicked back because she missed.
Too late.
So I was like, Mom, when I send you the link, do it right away.
A lot of broken hearts. A lot of broken hearts campaign.
It's all about investing. Investing for the future, because how do we build value if we don't build it now? And for me personally, I've literally spent the last 10 to 5 years understanding what we want to see, especially when it comes to Black and African oriented content. And I guess that's why we had a very successful Kickstarter with Chioma, because we know what we want to see, and we want to build this content with the fans, So y'all get ready. We are building a library of powerful stories.
Absolutely.
Nice. Well, gentlemen, everybody here tonight, thank you so much for being here. Such great conversation. And if you're out there watching this and you haven't made your first story yet, like man was said, just write a fucking story, right? I mean, get it out there. If you're not following these gentlemen, do it. If you don't already have the Black Sands app downloaded, do it. You won't regret it. It's the best comic book reading app. I don't even know if comic book reading app is the right word for it, but it's the best
entertainment app.
Yes, that I've ever downloaded. Yeah. And this is just the beginning, folks. This is just the beginning, and it's just going up from here. Gentlemen, thank you again so much for being here. I deeply appreciate it. Everybody out there, next week is our season finale for this first season of Broadcast from the Dispatch. We're taking all of July off to prep for season 2. Next week, we have the folks from Concrete Comics here to wrap up our first season, and as a throwback to when we launched Indie Comics Dispatch also last year. So tune in next week. We're off July. Look for big announcements coming for season 2 starting in August. Thanks, everybody.
I'm sorry, I didn't even congratulate you guys for your success at the Kickstarter. It was amazing.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. And we are well on the track to becoming a 501c3. The state paperwork is all submitted, and we're waiting for that to come back so we can file federal paperwork.
Business.
Yeah.
Yep. So
well done, guys. You guys are doing an amazing job in the comics. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Everybody out there, we'll see you next week.
All right.